Is it just me, or does it seem like we are now in a constant election cycle? There's always something to be enraged about, and you're likely to be dragged into a political argument at any time of the day or night. Today, I want to suggest that when it comes to selling art, we need to step out of the political madness. I'm Jason Horsch, owner of Xanadu Gallery in Scottsdale, Arizona, and publisher of Red Dot Blog. The political temperature is so high that even by making this suggestion that we separate politics from art sales, I'll make some viewers angry. If you don't believe me, just scroll down to the comments where you're sure to see some enraged artists who are offended that I would even suggest this. But I hope you'll all hear me out. There is an old adage that you shouldn't mix business and politics or religion. And I suspect that sometimes we can forget that we are in the art business. I'm going to suggest that if you're working to sell your art in any way, you should adhere to this adage and avoid those taboo topics. Nothing good will come out of a political conversation with your potential buyers or with gallery owners or even with other artists. Certainly, if you're in an art show or in a gallery space, there's just nothing positive that can come out of it. If you disagree with one another, you risk alienating each other and breaking down into a fight. And if you agree with one another, you're going to complain about how terrible the other side is and how awful it is that nothing seems to be going your way. And you're not going to be talking about your art. And that is fatal to your chances of creating a sale of your art. It is better to focus on the art and engender a warm, amicable relationship. And I want to be very clear. I am happy to sell art to all sides of the political debates, Republican, Democrat, liberal, Tory, conservative. I don't care. If you love art, I will sell it to you. And it's not because I think that art sales are more important than anything else, though obviously art sales are very important to those of us who are making our living in the art world. It's that I believe art has the power to transcend political divides and that it can help bring us together and see from one another's perspectives. I think that this is a critical function that art can serve in today's society, though it's got big challenges ahead of it for sure. I met an artist years ago who, while talking with me about her art, somehow ended up going off on a rant about how much she hated a certain socioeconomic group. And so for several minutes, I listened to a diatribe against this particular socioeconomic group. I didn't say anything at the time, but I couldn't help but think that in my experience, it is that exact socioeconomic group that she was ranting against who would have been the most likely to be interested in and qualified to buy her artwork. And I just had to wonder what this diatribe accomplished. Again, in my experience, I have found that once you start to get to know people outside of their tribe or outside of your expectations of what you think they are, you are going to find that you have some common ground. And what are we really accomplishing by all of the arguing and railing and grievance? Not much, in my opinion. And so I would encourage you when you're engaging with people just to avoid the topic entirely. I'm going to suggest you take it even a step further and also avoid engaging in politics online and through social media, especially in venues where we might be encountering potential art buyers or collectors. I suppose you might be able to safely engage in political posts on your private social media if you don't engage with buyers there. Though I would argue that your personal life will improve if you don't engage in those conversations. But if you have any buyers who are friends with you or follow you on social media, again, I would simply avoid the conversations. Are there any exceptions to this rule? I suppose that perhaps there are some artists whose work itself is very socially conscious or political. And it's going to be a lot harder to avoid conversations around politics and social issues when that is the core of your work. And it's likely that in that case, your work is going to be attracting buyers of a certain political or social bent. And so maybe in those cases, it makes sense you'd be more politically engaged and that it would become a part of your brand. For the rest of us, I just don't see a benefit. In closing, I want to be very clear. While I'm suggesting that we want to keep politics and our art business efforts separate, I'm not in any way suggesting that we should stick our heads in the sand and that we should not be civically engaged. Civic engagement is critical if we want to live in a free society. I'm just suggesting that there is a time and a place for everything, and that when we're engaging about our art, we want to build a fence around it and keep the politics out. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, though I'll ask you to keep it civil and thoughtful. Help me understand why you might think that it is appropriate to bring conversations about politics into your art sales process. And if you enjoyed this video, want to have other conversations about the art business and receive our business tips, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.